8 golden age legends who lost everything to drugs. They were America's brightest stars. The faces on posters. The voices in children's dreams. The symbols of a golden age that promised glamour, success, and immortality. But behind the spotlight, something darker was happening. A boy who flew as Peter Pan died alone, unrecognized, buried as a John Doe. A teenage girl was fed pills by studio doctors while her mother watched. A beauty drank just to survive the camera and never stopped. These weren't accidents. They weren't scandals. They weren't personal failures. They were procedures. Hollywood didn't just create stars. It chemically engineered them, pushed their bodies beyond human limits, then discarded what was left. Tonight, we're not telling gossip stories. We're exposing a machine. 8 legends. 8 lives chemically destroyed. And one system that never paid the price. This is Hollywood's golden age. Bobby Driscoll, the child Hollywood erased. Bobby Driscoll didn't chase fame. Fame found him before he understood what it demanded in return. In the late 1940s, Bobby was everywhere. His face lit up movie screens, lunchboxes, comic books. Disney built an empire of innocence around him. He wasn't just a child actor, he was America's idea of purity. The boy who could fly. The boy who would never grow up. But real children do. When Bobby's face changed, when childhood finally caught up with the illusion, the magic ended instantly. Disney didn't guide him into adulthood. They erased him. His contract vanished. Calls stopped coming. Behind closed doors, the word difficult followed his name, a quiet blacklist that shut every door. One day he was special. The next day he was disposable. Thrown into a normal school, Bobby had no idea who he was supposed to be. Classmates mocked him. Teachers didn't understand him. The applause that once defined his existence was gone, and no one had taught him how to live without it. But Hollywood had taught him something else. As a child, pills were routine. Pills to stay awake. Pills to sleep. Pills to keep working. He didn't know they were dangerous. He only knew they helped him survive the pressure. By 17, alcohol entered the picture. Then heroin. First followed. Small, desperate attempts at a comeback collapsed just as fast. Bobby wasn't chasing fame anymore. He was trying to numb the silence left behind when the world stopped caring. In 1968, children playing in an abandoned New York building found a body on a cot. No identification. No recognition. The man was buried as a John Doe on Hart Island. Almost a year later, fingerprints revealed the truth. The boy who played Peter Pan had died alone at 31, aged beyond recognition, forgotten by the industry that once sold his smile as a product. Bobby Driscoll wasn't destroyed by drugs. He was destroyed by being thrown away. Judy Garland manufactured addiction. Judy Garland was 13 years old when Hollywood decided her body was no longer her own. At MGM, they didn't call the pills drugs. They called them vitamins. Pep pills to keep her thin. Amphetamines to keep her awake through endless shooting days. Barbiturates to knock her out when the stimulants wore off. Studio doctors handed them to her while her mother watched from the sidelines. This wasn't indulgence. It was policy. Judy learned early that exhaustion wasn't an excuse. Hunger was a flaw. Sleep was an obstacle. Every natural signal from her body was chemically overridden in service of the schedule. The magic of the Wizard of Oz wasn't powered by fantasy, it was powered by pharmaceuticals. By 16, Judy couldn't wake up without pills. She couldn't fall asleep without pills. She couldn't feel normal without pills. Her nervous system had been rewritten before it had fully formed. They controlled her weight. They controlled her emotions. They controlled her identity. Then, when the dependency they created began to show, they used a word Hollywood loves. Difficult. The same executives who ordered the pills now lectured her about self-control. When she missed rehearsals or broke down on set, MGM acted shocked, as if the outcome hadn't been inevitable. In 1950, after 15 years of chemical management, MGM fired her. No rehabilitation. No apology. No accountability. The addict they manufactured had become inconvenient. Judy spent the rest of her life chasing something she had never been allowed to develop. a body that functioned naturally, a mind not governed by chemicals, a sense of safety not tied to performance. She worked. She sang. She smiled. But the damage had already been done. In 1969, Judy Garland died alone in a rented London bathroom. She was 47 years old. Her body looked decades older, worn down by a chemical assault that began when she was still a child playing dress-up on a movie set. Her death certificate listed her occupation as singer and actress. It did not list what she truly was: a victim of institutional addiction. Judy Garland wasn't destroyed by excess. She was destroyed by obedience. Gail Russell, drinking just to survive. Gail Russell never wanted to be famous. That was the first thing Hollywood ignored. She was discovered not for her talent, but for her face, a face so striking it stopped rooms cold. Paramount didn't ask what she wanted. They saw beauty and pushed her directly under the lights, untrained and unprepared. What the audience never saw was the fear. Gail was pathologically shy. Cameras terrified her. Before scenes, she shook uncontrollably. Sometimes she vomited from anxiety. Every take felt like standing naked in front of strangers. She didn't need applause, she needed help. Hollywood offered alcohol. Just take the edge off. Just one drink. Everyone does it. Crew members handed her glasses before difficult scenes. Directors waited while she swallowed courage she didn't naturally have. The studio had no patience for therapy, coaching, or time. Alcohol was faster, cheaper, effective, and it worked. For a while. The drink that allowed her to face the camera slowly became the only way she could function at all. What started as survival turned into dependency. Her nerves dulled. Her performances suffered. The same industry that encouraged her drinking now labeled her unreliable. Roles disappeared. Calls stopped. Friends faded. The transformation was brutal and fast. The ethereal beauty Hollywood once marketed began to vanish. Her face bloated. Her hands trembled. The anxiety never left. It simply had a new master. Gail wasn't drinking to party. She was drinking to exist. By the end, she lived alone. No studio. No safety net. No audience left to applaud or care. In 1961, Gail Russell died in her apartment surrounded by empty bottles. Her body lay undiscovered for days. She was 36 years old, but her body looked decades older, ravaged by the very substance she'd been encouraged to use to make herself employable. Her death certificate listed effects of alcohol. It did not list the industry that first put the glass in her hand. Gail Russell wasn't weak. She was chemically managed, then discarded. Montgomery Clift, prescribed to death. Montgomery Clift was once the most beautiful man in Hollywood. Not the loud kind of beauty. Not swagger. Not bravado. His was quiet, fragile, intimate. The kind that made audiences lean forward instead of cheer. Then, in 1956, everything ended on a dark California road. The car wrapped itself around a telephone pole. Clift survived, but the man who stepped out of the hospital was not the same one who went in. His face was permanently altered. His jaw shattered. His confidence shattered with it. Half of his identity, the part Hollywood had built its fantasy on, was gone. The pain never stopped. Doctors did what doctors did in that era. They prescribed, then prescribed more. Painkillers from one physician, sedatives from another. No coordination, no oversight, no one asking how much was too much. Clift trusted them. When the pills stopped working, alcohol filled the gaps. Not to get high, to function, to sleep, to forget the man he used to see in the mirror. His home became a pharmacy, bottles everywhere, many legally prescribed, none truly helping. The transformation was terrifyingly fast. Within a few years, the actor once praised for discipline and preparation struggled to remember lines. His hands shook. His speech slurred. Studios began demanding insurance bonds just to cast him. A silent signal that his brilliance now came with risk. Directors worked around him. Shot his scenes early. Used doubles. Edited carefully. Everyone could see the genius was still there, trapped under layers of chemicals and grief. In 1966, Montgomery Clift was found dead in his New York apartment. The official cause was a heart attack. The reality was slower and crueler. Years of mixed prescriptions and alcohol had damaged his heart beyond repair. Over 30 pill bottles were found in his home, all legal, all prescribed. He was 45 years old. Montgomery Clift wasn't reckless. He followed medical advice, and it killed him. Bela Lugosi, immortal on screen, broken in life. Bela Lugosi became immortal the moment he put on the cape. To the world, he was Dracula, commanding, hypnotic, untouchable. A man who embodied darkness with absolute control. Audiences believed he would live forever. Off-screen, Bela Lugosi was in constant pain. Years of physically demanding performances left him with severe, chronic sciatica. In the 1930s, there were no modern pain treatments, no therapy plans, no long-term monitoring. There was morphine, and morphine worked. At first, the drug wasn't recreational. It was prescribed, legitimate, necessary. But tolerance grows. Pain returns stronger. Doses increase. Dependency arrives quietly, wearing a doctor's signature. As Lugosi's reliance on morphine deepened, his career began to slip. Hollywood changed. Horror evolved. His heavy Hungarian accent and Dracula image became limitations instead of assets. Fewer roles meant more time alone with his pain, physical and psychological. The spiral fed itself. The less he worked, the more he focused on the pain. The more medication he took, the less employable he became. By the late 1940s, major studios stopped calling. The once commanding figure now appeared gaunt, exhausted, sometimes disoriented. Desperate for income, Lugosi accepted any role offered, even the infamously bad Ed Wood films, paid in hundreds, not thousands. It wasn't artistic choice. It was survival. In a rare act of courage for the era, Bela Lugosi publicly admitted his addiction and entered rehabilitation. At a time when addiction meant shame and exile, he spoke openly, hoping to recover and to help others. But the treatments were primitive. The pain never disappeared. Without alternatives, relapse became almost inevitable. Bela Lugosi died in 1956 at 73 years old, financially ruined, far removed from the fame his image still carried. In one final irony, he was buried wearing a Dracula cape, forever linked to the role that made him legendary and helped trap him. Bela Lugosi wasn't chasing a high. He was chasing relief, and paid for it with his life. Barbara Payton, Hollywood's fastest fall. No one fell faster than Barbara Payton. In the early 1950s, she looked like everything Hollywood wanted. Platinum blonde. Voluptuous. Camera-ready. Warner Brothers signed her fast, convinced they had found their next major star. On screen, she radiated promise. Off-screen, she had no protection. The fall began with a scandal that tabloids devoured. A violent love triangle exploded into headlines when one of her lovers brutally assaulted another. While the men involved eventually worked again, Barbara became the problem. Hollywood's double standards snapped shut. A woman associated with chaos, even indirectly, was unmarketable. Overnight, offers disappeared. Barbara already struggled with insecurity and emotional instability. When the industry turned its back, the silence was unbearable. Alcohol became a way to quiet the panic. Pills followed. Barbiturates. Then heroin. Not to party, but to survive the collapse of everything she had been promised. Her body changed with shocking speed. Photographs from 1951 show a radiant starlet. By 1956, she looked decades older. Bloated. Exhausted. Her once perfect features distorted by addiction and despair. The transformation wasn't gradual, it was violent. Money ran out. Friends vanished. Studios that once protected her image now pretended she had never existed. With no safety net, Barbara crossed a line no one imagined possible. From Warner Brothers contract player to Sunset Boulevard prostitute in less than a decade. Sometimes clients recognized her from films they had seen just years earlier. The humiliation drove her deeper into drugs, deeper into numbness. It became a perfect trap. Drugs made her unemployable. Unemployment created desperation. Desperation pushed her into prostitution. Prostitution intensified the addiction. There was no escape. Barbara Payton died in 1967 at 39 years old. Her body was ravaged by liver disease, heart failure, and malnutrition. The autopsy revealed organs resembling those of someone far older. Her New York Times obituary was 2 sentences long. Barbara Payton wasn't reckless. She was expendable, and Hollywood treated her that way. Errol Flynn, the legend that poisoned himself. Errol Flynn didn't just play danger on screen. He lived it and sold it. In the 1930s, Flynn was the embodiment of masculine fantasy. Sword-fighting hero. Fearless adventurer. Effortless charm. As Robin Hood and Captain Blood, he looked indestructible. Audiences believed nothing could touch him. Off-screen, he proved them wrong. Flynn treated substances the way he treated stunts, with no restraint. Alcohol in the morning. Cocaine for energy. Opiates and barbiturates to come down. Often all in the same day. Sometimes in the same drink. His body became a battleground where chemicals fought for control while his organs absorbed the damage. What made Flynn different wasn't just how much he consumed. It was how well it fit his image. The hard-living swashbuckler wasn't a secret, it was branding. His excess became mythology. The more dangerous his lifestyle sounded, the more legendary he seemed. That image made intervention nearly impossible. How do you tell a man he has a problem when the problem is what sells him? But bodies keep score. By the 1950s, the change was undeniable. The once athletic hero became bloated and shaky. His stamina vanished. He struggled to climb stairs. His hands trembled so badly that close-ups often used another actor's hands. Sword fights were replaced with careful framing and body doubles. Studios adjusted quietly. Scenes were shot early before heavy drinking began. Flynn was seated whenever possible. Insurance companies demanded special bonds, a silent admission that the legend had become a liability. Behind the bravado was a man drowning in the consequences of his own persona. In 1959, Errol Flynn died in Vancouver at just 50 years old. The official cause was heart failure. The medical examiner noted that his body showed damage consistent with someone decades older. Every major organ bore the scars of sustained chemical assault. The man who played eternal youth had aged himself into an early grave. Errol Flynn wasn't destroyed by one drug. He was destroyed by turning self-destruction into an identity. John Drew Barrymore, the inherited curse. The Barrymore name was supposed to be a blessing. It was acting royalty. Prestige. Legacy. A guarantee of greatness. But for John Drew Barrymore, that name was less a gift than a weight, heavy, unavoidable, and quietly destructive. His father, John Barrymore, had been one of the greatest actors of his generation. He was also a cautionary tale. Alcohol destroyed his career, his health, and eventually his life. The world admired the talent and ignored the warning. John Drew grew up inside that shadow. He had the looks, the charisma, the raw ability. Early roles suggested he might be the one to carry the family legacy forward, to succeed where his father had failed. But talent doesn't cancel biology. And it doesn't erase environment. Alcohol came first. Familiar, accepted, almost expected. Then came amphetamines. Then LSD. Then whatever was available. This wasn't experimentation. It was consumption. John Drew would disappear for days. Miss rehearsals. Forget lines. Show up disoriented or not at all. Studios tried to be patient at first. The Barrymore name still carried power, but unpredictability kills trust faster than lack of talent. Eventually, the calls stopped. Press followed. Blacklists followed. The legacy that once opened doors now closed them. Friends hesitated to help, knowing money or possessions might vanish into the next binge. Housing became unstable. Life became smaller. And while his career collapsed, history repeated itself. In 1975, John Drew's daughter, Drew Barrymore, was born into the same industry. By 9, she was using drugs. By 13, she was in rehab. When asked about her father later in life, Drew said he wasn't just absent, he was chemically absent. The chain was visible. Genetic vulnerability. environmental pressure, industry indifference. John Drew Barrymore died in 2004 at 72 years old. His death barely made headlines. A quiet end for a man born into fame. His legacy exists not in performances, but in a warning. Addiction isn't just personal failure. It's inherited, enabled, and ignored until someone breaks the cycle. They told us these were tragedies. Isolated stories. Broken people who couldn't handle fame. But look closer. 8 lives. 8 different faces. One identical pattern. Hollywood didn't lose these stars. It used them. It pushed children to work like adults. It medicated fear instead of treating it. It turned pain into prescriptions. And when the damage became inconvenient, it walked away. The drugs were never the disease. They were the tool. A system that demanded perfection without humanity. Performance without limits. Beauty without aging. Success without rest. And when the body finally broke, the story was rewritten. Difficult. Unreliable. Tragic. Not exploited. Not engineered. Not abandoned. These weren't cautionary tales of excess. They were warnings about an industry that treats people as disposable assets. Different era. Different substances. Same machine. And until that machine changes, the names will keep changing, but the endings won't. If these stories moved you, share this video. Not for gossip. For memory. Subscribe for more stories Hollywood forgot. And comment below, which story stayed with you the longest? Because remembering is the first step to stopping it from happening again.